Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel at VAG Technique at our garage, and we are in the office. So this is another video with the 48 volt system for the Audi A8. So in the previous video didn't manage to repair it because obviously our knowledge is not on the level to get it sorted. So the owner of the vehicle told Andy from Audi Upgrades that we have sort of this issue. He was in touch with us. We already done a diagnostic through the tablet what we have, and obviously he confirmed what Miroslav was saying, that the FlexRay what we mentioned in the previous video has an open circuit. It has nothing to do with the faulty ECU or anything like that. So we have to look for a physical wire damage or something what's actually caused an open circuit in the FlexRay. Like I mentioned even before, we did check it a million times. We can't see any physical damage like a cut wire, what we couldn't done, like isolation, what's damaged, or so on and so on. And basically the only way how to find out, we have to physically go from the wiring from the ECU, which is behind or underneath the back seats, and we have to check all the wiring from the back seats to the connector to the gearbox, from the connector to the gearbox, and from the power steering to the connector, and so on and so on. So it will be very loads of fun. We have to strip quite loads of things. We have to take our tester to check the continuity on these cables. Luckily Andy told us which pins we need to check. That will save us quite loads of time actually, what we have to check. And we also want to thank you everyone who left a comment, try to help us, like you have the fault before and this and that. It's actually very hard to follow everybody's advice because it can be the same problem, but it might be different. So it reminds me a bit the forum on Facebook sometimes, like somebody posts an engine light, like can somebody tell me what the fault can be, and there's like million comments underneath the picture like check your tire pressure, change your wipers, you need a new engine, you need whatever. So thank you for the advice anyways, but obviously we have to sort out the problem step by step. Unfortunately we wasted quite loads of time with the battery check and the generator and everything, which didn't get us anywhere on the end. All this didn't help us so far, but at least we've got it for the future jobs what we need to do. But yeah, we will try to follow Andy's advice with the FlexRay. So let's put the car on the ramp. We have to start from the beginning. The situation in the workshop anyways is quite interesting, to be honest. As you can see, there's one car behind another car. It's quite busy. We have to put the A8 on the middle ramp from the back room, so we have to take all this out and just put it on the ramp, so that will be interesting. Let's get to it. Okay guys, so this is the ECU what's actually behind the back seats. It's very important ECU, it's the body control module, and everything what comes to communication goes through there, so it's connecting all the ECUs like together. So if you don't know what's FlexRay, FlexRay is a wiring, a communicating cable, and it's very important for these sort of cars because there's so many ECUs and the wiring is so big that transfer all the data actually needs an extra communicating cable. So the car also have a CAN bus. It also have this FlexRay, and you also have an optic. So if you're gonna strip all the wiring down from this car, you probably can get to the moon easily. And as you can see, it's quite confusing because as I mentioned, we did struggle to find out why it's not working, why there's no communication. And right now we needed the schema, or basically the wiring diagram, to find out what exactly is not right and where we are losing the communication. I must say, from our point of view, it was quite difficult because we ran the auto scan for many times, and as you can tell from the previous video, we just had no communication. So the fault code with the FlexRay didn't come up all the time, which was actually quite interesting. And when Andy was actually doing the diagnostic, like through our laptop, he did mention that the FlexRay is there now, which Miroslav seen it afterwards when we done the battery and the generator as a fault code, and he was mentioning like, you know, the FlexRay is not good because it's a main communication cable. When you're gonna break one of them, the communication between the ECU will literally stop. So the data have to be like in one circle, and as soon as you're going to break the circle, it's just going to be missing messages and all the stuff. So That will explain all the missing messages in the other modules. However, as you can tell, we are still confused with the wiring because nothing looks damaged. So with the wiring diagram, Andy actually told us which exactly from the ECU we should be checking. So we went from the back seat, as you can see, to underneath the car, to the first loom, to check all the FlexRays, which we're going for the gearbox and stuff. And right now actually we are checking the FlexRay, which is going from the power steering and some other like engine mounts and stuff wiring from underneath of the car to the front of the vehicle. And as you can tell, sometimes the continuity is sometimes there and sometimes was missing. And when Miroslav was moving with the cable, we were missing the continuity sometimes. So it was like really funny. However we moved the cable, sometimes it was there, sometimes it was missing. So we definitely come to an end where we are 100% sure that this wiring, which is going to left side front of the vehicle, has some kind of a damage on the cable or something is going on, because the continuity is not always there. So you have to have 100% connection when it comes to anything really, because otherwise you might have like faults coming on and the car just gonna go crazy. So meanwhile we have another Audi A8 with same but different issue, and in this situation we were just checking the wiring again because we couldn't see any mechanical damage what can be caused by taking the loom out and stuff. And again we were struggling to actually find out like where it can be damaged. So the last thing what come to our mind was like we probably squeezed the wiring somehow when we were putting the gearbox back on or something, but on the end of the day that wiring is attached onto the subframe and everything with plastic pins, so you can't really move it too much and it will only go where it should go and it will only hold where are the touch points. So that was like really interesting to see what was going on. So after loads of discussions that we have to drop the subframe down and probably have to replace the whole wiring and do some many hours of labor, I went for a lunch, and while I was eating my KFC, the guys were shouting at me like, yo, we find the problem. And the problem was quite actually simple and silly. There was oxidation inside the wiring, so you couldn't see it from the connector side, both sides actually. You couldn't see the oxidation from out of the connector. It was basically behind the rubber seal, which was, well, shouldn't actually hold all the moisture and water from the connector pins. So how we find that Dave was messing around with the wire and he just pulled them out, and this is what we found.
Can't see fuck all, so. Okay.
Right, so the Audi A8 is off the ramp, as you see, loads of fun. So basically we spent diagnosing something for a month, which actually was working, but it was very confusing situation, I would say. Especially I want to thanks to Audi Upgrades, Andy, who helped us on the end with online diagnosing the car. And unfortunately, the whole situation, how it ended up, and it was so misleading and confusing, is quite easily explainable. So when the 48-volt system wasn't charging, obviously I was reading on the forums and I was asking loads of people that the car will go in some sort of like a battery save mode. So it might switch off all the modules and there will be loads of CAN bus communication errors, even with the FlexRay what you've seen. So we thought that we need to make the car to charge the battery and the 48-volt system have to work to actually have a communication with the modules, which was not correct. Miroslav was saying during the diagnostic that there is a FlexRay problem, what we know, but we couldn't actually confirm it because Whatever we remove is in the wiring which is going around the engine, and from underneath the subframe everything is on a connector which was unplugged, and there is not a big chance that you can actually squeeze in between the subframe or the chassis, because you have those plastic pins holding it onto several points. When we done the diagnostic on Thursday evening or night, I would say, Miroslav was checking again the whole wiring, so everything was unplugged, everything was visually checked. He was even pulling the cables, but obviously we didn't check the continuity because you can see how much things there is, and obviously you need to know what you're checking. So we thought like, well, we don't have the knowledge or the diagnostic to make the 48-volt system run and start charging it. But like I said, luckily Andy from Audi Upgrades helped us to actually give us a guidance, and he also told us that the FlexRay has an open circuit, or the FlexRay have to be working 100%. And it was the FlexRay 2 actually, which is directly for the power steering and the gearbox. And he told us there's a module under the receipt, what we know, and which pin we have to check the continuity onto the system. So we've done all that. We checked the wiring first from the module, what you've seen, to the gearbox from underneath of the vehicle, and then we were checking the other connector from the wheel arch side to the power steering. When we were checking the continuity of the FlexRay to the power steering, we actually did find out that those two connectors were inside corroded, and how we actually disconnect the main connector, sometimes we move it or something happened with it, and there was an open circuit. That particular connector was checked like 5 million times, because when we finished the car off and there was the fault, first thing what we thought, as usual, we forgot something, there's a missing ground cable, or the red pin is not pushed in, which might lead to an open circuit or some point. And obviously we did visually check it, but inside of the connector there was absolutely nothing what was telling us there's rainwater getting in or something like that. There was a problem inside of the connector behind the rubber sealing light. So once Dave touched it with his big hands, we just basically pulled the two of them out where it was no continuity when we check it. So that was the main FlexRay communication cable for the power steering, and once we put it back on, the battery actually was unlocked again, and the car started charging the whole system. Everything was working fine. However, after all this, we left the car on the ramp during the night locked, and the 12-volt battery died again. So we did charge it again. However, even when it's charged, the capacity of the 12-volt battery is quite low, so that will be replaced now. And as you've seen on the diagnostic, what we've done after a few hours or maybe during the night, even if the car will start up, there's a fault codes coming on with a low voltage on the control module. So the owner was he agreed to actually replace the 12-volt battery, so we have to strip the whole back of the car again to take it out, put the new battery in there and code it, and we will be replacing the air filter as well. That should be the last thing what we will be doing on this car. So on the end of the day, very tricky situation. The 48-volt system might have some issues. I read quite lots of issues on the forums, but in this case it was a combined issue with the battery, with that loom and everything together. So it was a very, very hard experience, I would say. Quite expensive experience as well. Also time-wise, absolutely mental. The car was just going forward and backwards from the ramp to this room, which is over here. And for all this extra time, what we pay for the battery testing, generator testing, stripping it down, and everything what we've done, customer is not paying for nothing of that. And we just have to actually work it out. So that's life of a mechanic. So what I'm gonna do now, air filter, battery, we'll go for a test drive. Hopefully we'll be all good.
na miestečko.
Celú robotu. Hej. Okay, so the battery was installed. We have the 48-volt battery in sleep again, so we will wake it up, and as you can tell, the code which is in the system is different to the code on the battery. That means it wasn't coded and it wasn't a genuine one. So we just installed a new battery from TPS, coded in, and it should be all good to go. Car's back on the road, pretty much. We are going for tracking to double check if it's all good, and obviously the engine seems to be running fine, which is good news. And like I said, the car was here much longer than we expected, and believe me, if we don't want to have this video on YouTube, it wouldn't be on YouTube to actually show you how things can also go wrong, and not always everything goes as planned. Of course, from the beginning, the owner was asking us that he will drop the car down when we have all the parts, which he actually did. And as soon as the car was in our workshop, we start actually working on it. We open up all the boxes to check the parts, camshafts, the timing chains, whatever you've seen on the video. And there was a bit of a problem with TPS because they send us a camshaft, which was in the box, 4 of them, exhaust inlet, and the part numbers on the boxes were the correct part numbers for the job. But as soon as we took the camshaft out from all the packaging, the camshaft physically inside has a different part number. So soon as we let TPS know, they were like, yeah, no problem, we just get it replaced for you, but they are on back order again. So we were waiting for 3 camshafts, because instead of inlet, exhaust, we have 3 inlet and 1 exhaust. So it was a bit of a mess. Once they gave us the replacement, we check it straight away when the driver come and give us the part, and we obviously check the inside of the box, what number is on the camshaft. And again, it was different one, so again, more waiting. So obviously from any time perspective view, we obviously not making absolutely no money on the job, because the car was with us for a very long time. Not even speaking about the mess afterwards, where you've seen the 48-volt system and so on and so on. Like I said in the previous video, we have almost no experience with the 48-volt system and electronics as such. I also informed the owner that we can sort it out. We will probably have the knowledge and information on the end, but it will take time, which on the end of the day I was pretty right when I gave him the time schedule, like it will be extra probably 4 weeks, which I believe it was extra 4 weeks. And it was a very pleasant experience, and it is sorted, which is good, because the last thing what we want to do is outsource the job to Audi, because like we were struggling, probably they will be struggling as well. They will be just replacing stuff, and the bill will be like endless, and nobody will pay for the bill, obviously. So from that point, I'm happy that we actually sorted out in our workshop, and it was an easy fix on the end of the day. But yeah, we need a bit of a guidance from Andy to actually confirm what Miroslav was saying with the whole electronic system, that the module was actually working fine, and it was problem in the wiring, which was sorted pretty quickly. I would say it took us like half a day to actually check everything and get the new pins and the part of the loom and just resolder it and get it all done. So from that point, I'm happy. The owner is pretty much, I wouldn't say maybe fed up. He have the car for a reason to use it, and he couldn't use it for quite a bit of a time, which we fully understand. From other perspective, it wasn't actually our fault what happened, because there was an oxidation in the wiring, and unfortunately it's just one of them when the fault was there. We need to get it sorted, because it actually happened in our workshop, and all the extra money what we spent for the battery generator check, all the labor and everything, the owner is not paying any of that. So from that perspective, I would say it's like we took a loss, he was with no car, and obviously it was a bit of a pain, but I'm actually very happy that it is all sorted, and we're just gonna go for the trucking. I'm really hoping that will be fine, and we also have to drive the car for a bit to double check. Once we will finish with the test drive, we put the car on the run one more time to double check it, and once we will confirm there's no coolant leaks, everything as it should be, we're gonna contact the owner and he can take the vehicle. When it comes to paying for everything what was sorted, the warranty company is paying like most of it. The owner is only paying for carbon cleaning what he want to get done himself, and he also pay for the hydraulic lifters what the warranty company didn't want to actually cover it. So additional was the battery what he wants to get replaced, because that was like low capacity after the years. Also the battery which was in the boot, I don't think it was original, and also it wasn't coded into the system, so a few more details. But yeah, the warranty company actually didn't pay us any money until the whole car was sorted. Like there were no lights on the cluster, the engine was running and the car was drivable. So we basically have our money in the car for 2 months, and it is a bit of a pain to be honest, but I'm really happy we are getting to end of this whole job, and on the end of the day the owner will be happy because there's no more noisy engine in the car. No, and after the trucking, just the last check on the ramp before we put the covers definitely on. So we're just checking for any oil leaks, coolant leaks, if we didn't forget any screwdrivers or tied all the bolts. All the connectors looks to be plugged in, which is good news. There are no lights on the cluster, so I think we can just cover it all up. And of course we have to wait for the owner to collect the car. I must say it was a very long job, but as you can tell, I think we can put the covers back on and just call the owner, get ready for the collection. Okay guys, so that's the end of the A8 video. Still sort of a happy ending I would say, because it can end up as a money pit going around the UK here and there. We also have another Audi A8 which was already at the dealers. It's with us in the workshop right now, so that will be an interesting story to see. And the A8 which is with us right now was exactly the reason why I didn't want to go to Audi with the car to sort out the problem, because I knew exactly how it's going to end up. So the situation was tricky. The owner picked the car up. He obviously wasn't 100% happy with the time schedule and everything, but it is what it is. It didn't cost him anything extra, which is good. Also from our side, business side, we didn't get paid until the car was fully actually fixed, because that's how things are. So I'm really hoping there will be no other issues with the car. This is actually probably quite some time after. I didn't have time to edit the video, but it is sorted. I didn't heard from the owner since, so I'm really hoping the car is all good. And we will see you with another interesting videos on YouTube. So thank you for watching guys, and take care for now. I will see you in the next one. See ya.